that used a Corian countertop type surface that was very resistant to any of the normal things that can happen to gel coat. That story was very well taught to their dealer base, and it was a true story. And then a lot of these manufacturers started switching over to other manufacturers of gel coats that have different issues that are starting to present a couple years after the original. But this is more kind of just a history of gel coat real quick. There's problems with a lot of different gel coats. The concrete guys don't know those problems because the problems are a lot deeper than, if it cracks, how are we going to fix it? That's easy. Same way as you do a boat. It can be fixed, and depending on the surface, you'll never know it was there. Try and fix a plaster pool, and you will see exactly where a patch has been done in a concrete pool, because those are all mixed on site the day of installation. So that would be my kind of retort to that if I was presented with that in a sales meeting. Otherwise, the main thing to avoid that being a problem is dealer education.
Yeah. I mean, I think if I were to summarize here, because I promised a shorter conversation on your Monday morning, is that there are ways. It feels like if you were to line up all the different barriers that we talked about or issues, there's a way to kind of ameliorate each of them, I guess.
Right.
But it just isn't being done because the resources for someone like yourself, right? You're trying to build your business every day, and it's hard for you to think kind of at a macro level about some of this stuff, or at least apply some kind of resources to it. You can find it in your own local market, right? But there's going to be a kind of an industry. There needs to be some industry moves here. And then that was helpful. Let me look at my notes here for a second and just make sure I got everything, because you were so thoughtful. I wanted to make sure that I talked about. Oh, I did want you to, if you don't mind, expanding a bit more on the Allaglass model that you talked about last time. We barely talked about it, so when I was reading back over the notes, it stood out because no one else had mentioned it to me. You said something about how you go direct to manufacturer with them, and then there's a direct consumer model of some kind, and that it might have been a bit different, but I didn't quite understand that. Like I said,
so they sell.
Brought it up to me.
Yeah, they sell. There's a couple. I think Allaglass and can't think of them. They're out of Illinois. Another fiberglass manufacturer. They both Sun Fiberglass Pools. Sun SUN. They both have direct to consumer models in their regions or their state. So Allaglass has a sales force that sells to consumers, and they have an installation crew, and they install their own pools. They also have dealers, but those are usually located outside of South Carolina. There's a large dealer in South Carolina that I guess competes with them to a certain degree. But otherwise, they're outside of the state. Sun Pools does the same thing up in, again, either Illinois or Indiana. These are two very small fiberglass manufacturers, maybe in the 300 to 400 units a year, probably. Models. I don't know that that's able to be duplicated in different markets. I do know that there has always been talk in the fiberglass industry of building a franchise model or building a model where dealers are trading under the same name as the manufacturer. And selling franchises, if you will, because then they can force the product into a market with the proper training and, again, the proper training on install and then finding the right subs and all that stuff for whatever market they're trying to get into. Charlotte had one other builder in its history that did over 50 pools in fiberglass, Midwest Pools. They came down, they did only fiberglass, and that's what they did. Atlanta has yet to have someone do volume. Middle Virginia does. That's River Pools and Spas. I'm talking about the Southeast specifically. And Florida has none that do any type of volume. Georgia, the rest of the state really has none that does any sort of volume.
Right.
I